All right. All right. So for those wondering about Melanie Brown, there she is, 1988. All right. We were both like 15 years old, 14 years old, something like that. It's funny. Um, I had a crush on her. I actually ran into her a couple of years back at at Rubio's, and she had her daughter and I think her husband with her, and I go, Melanie Brown? She's like, yeah, and she just is a rock star. She's just a hot chick. So, and I had talked to you several times ago about the problem with hot chicks, and it's not that hot chicks are the problem. The problem is that our society gives people like that a lot more credit than they're due, and so what ends up happening is this person, what's the word? I forget. Is it One Direction? One Direction has this hit song, which I love, by the way. It's about a hot chick that doesn't know she's hot. That right there, that is what drives men crazy, right? Because it's the best of both worlds. She's hot, but she's not conceited. She's not stuck on herself, and she also doesn't use that to leverage her way to get stuff. Brats, right? Those things. So, but basically, all girls are prone to this just because their vaginas are desirable. So, but in the case of many women that I've known in my life, what happens is their distortion, their reality is distorted. The way they see things, the level of demands that they have, their expectations. It's all this weird shit that happens because, even when they're a baby, not that anybody finds them sexually attractive, but just a cute baby, they get a lot of attention, and it just continues. So, but anyways, that's again, this is not anything. This is not some sort of revelation of mine or some sort of discovery of mine. If you listen to the people that talk about this, and I put a link to it before, it was Jordan Peterson on his podcast. He's talking to another guy that talks about how they interviewed people and did study and talked about how attraction and some other stuff happens when people are just, there's certain things that are built into us that most all of us find attractive. One of them is symmetry. So if your eyes are symmetrical and your nostrils are symmetrical and all that stuff, because our lineage indicates that you're more what is it? You're more likely to not only procreate but also like you're healthier. So if you're just looking at at a glance, of course none of that is really accurate, but you got to look at a million years worth of fucking evolution. So, or 7,000 years if you're a weirdo Christian that thinks the fucking ark was whatever. Anyways, the ark had dinosaurs anyway. So, but anyways, Cachet. So Cachet was a brand that was supported and built by the company called Edge. Edge also supports many brands, including SMD. Maybe not all of their products, but definitely some of their products. So Edge made Cachet. Cachet is a line output converter with line driver in it. So, and we have these here for $20 shipped, if you really want that. Now, the other question you want to ask yourself, this, by the way, is the last video I'm doing on fucking LOCs. Fuck you otherwise. So, but one of the things I wanted to point out as well about, I didn't appreciate the fact that Steve had either acquired or made fun of products that are perfectly good and called them trash and said don't buy them. So when they do a perfectly good job. So in fact, if you want to look inside of a PPI power class, remember the PPI power class, they had a little button on there that it said minus 12 dB. That is a line output converter. So the idea was to, instead of having a tacky, either some sort of connector, or you see it here, let me show you. Because I got a ton of them and I love them. It's just a harness. This. See? That's it. Focus. There we go. You can actually buy these in China. In fact, that's what I had to do on some of the amps that only had, these have 4 connectors. These have a 5th connector. Again, don't go by the wire color when you're hooking these up. Always go by what the amp says on the side of the amp. And typically I just take the 2 positives, tie them together, and then the 2 negatives and tie them together. There is a ground in the middle, see? And so the ground in the middle, typically you don't have to ground it, except for on Chrysler vehicles for some reason, because of the bus system or however the grounding system that they use on their OEM radios. So, but anyways, let me show you the LOCs since I'm walking around. So Cache was a little brand. I forget the guy's name. He actually came here to my house. Things didn't work out the way that the guy wanted. So I don't know how much of an engineer he was on it. He says he's an engineer, but I don't know. Because, I mean, there's a lot of squirrely guys. He was kind of squirrely. But this is the Cache 6-channel version. It's just a line output converter. That's it. That's all it is. So, and the Cache line, they had the line driver 2-channel, which they also supported the brands that one of the partners owned, which was, at the time, it was Diamond Audio and Cerwin-Vega Mobile. So you'll find the same product. Here we go. Here's one that's open. See? So under the Cerwin-Vega Mobile and Diamond Audio brands. So, and then also they have a Recoil brand. Recoil is closer to the Edge family company. So the Edge is the company in China, and that they acquire, they assemble, they outsource, they do all kinds of stuff, but they're the ones that do the CAD drawings and they put the whole thing together. So Edge is that company. So, and then Edge produces for many, many other brands, including a lot of the products from Metra and their brands, which is like Install Edge and some other ones. Is it Install Edge? No, that was Rockford's project. Anyways, Cache was one of those brands, and then the guy had a falling out with the founders and went and started WaveTech, which is the same products but expensive and all that kind of stuff. So my only complaint really was that it cost too much, and I also don't like. I don't want to say I don't like Steve. I just don't like people like him because it's not personal. So Scott Dilbeck showed his face again for whatever reason. So, and he's like, look at the pot. Here's the pot. Kettle black. Shut up, Scott Dildo. But they also made this CEX, which is, sex. Haha. Which was, they put the line output converter and then built in a 2/3-way crossover. They also had an EQ. They also had an epicenter and some other products. So really not, what do you call it? Revolutionary at all by any means. They were just fancy looking and then very expensive. And then they sold most of them out on Sonic, which is again through Nathan, not that Nate, another Nate, Nathan of Sonic Electronics. So, but what else do I want to cover? Oh, I'll open one of those up, whatever. And guess what is going to be inside? It's going to look a goddamn lot like Tony's. So again, Tony doesn't do anything revolutionary. Steve Mead certainly doesn't do anything revolutionary. Doesn't do anything new. He just puts his name on a knife, or the knife is the funniest one to me. So a knife or whatever. So here's WaveTech. So, and that guy's local here too. So this one he actually puts an EQ into, which is cute. You just add a little EQ, and especially if it's powered, so then you can do that. So, but and Tony can do the same fucking thing. Now, how much is this? Let's see. There you go. You can see the specs. I don't see any pricing. We will have to look it up. Crutchfield. That's really where the money's at. So what you do is you split it with. So yeah. So that's actually pretty affordable. So that's with an EQ built into it, and it's only $89. If you want to say only, again, the cost to manufacture this thing is probably right around $15. And so then what WaveTech guy does is he just splits it with Crutchfield. So that way it makes the cost to Crutchfield about $45, and then they do fulfillment and all that other stuff. So, and then you can do the same deal with Amazon or whatever, somebody else. Anyways, do your own research is what I'm encouraging people. There was a lot of butthurt people about, that's a pretty page, about Steve and about me being like a keyboard warrior or something like that. Or calling me a little bitch or whatever. I am completely a little bitch. I am completely a cunty ass, snitchy, bitchy, boo boo bop. I don't care. I don't care. And as soon as you get macho or you want to fight over words, or that I said that your line output converter wasn't as great as it probably should be, or you're charging too much, and you want to fight, you're a retard. So don't do that. You're an idiot. So, and that's fine. And if you want to call me an idiot, that's fine too. What I really love, which you'll really notice, is nobody ever mentions me. Nobody ever mentions my name. Watch that. Why do they not mention my name? I don't know. I'm a person. You can insult me. It's fine. I'm a grown up. I'm not going to cry. So certainly not going to go to an engineer that makes my shit and Tony, there's calling me names. You need to do a video. And then Tony does a video. And then if Tony does a very professional video, good job. I like it was funny when Tony told me to take the video down. I was like, fuck you. You don't tell me what to do, bitch. This is my channel. So, but, and I'm tired. What I'm really tired of is just people being bullies, especially in car audio. And I saw this with skateboarding too. And I see this with comedy, and I see this with all kinds of things, like buying a car, right? Buying a car should be something pretty utilitarian, where you pay for the car and that's the end of it. Maybe you pick a color, something like that. But it's not. It's this whole thing, and then you get hosed. And then what's worse is they've lobbied each state so that they have a monopoly. So if you ever want to buy a car, you have to buy it through the dealer and you have to pay dealer pricing. You can't buy it directly from the factory, which is crazy. And companies like Tesla and people like Elon are trying to change that. So one of the great things I saw him do was, I forget which place it was, but he didn't want to jump through all the hoops of opening up a dealership and following their rules. So what he did was he approached the natives and he's like, hey, can I put this on the res? And of course you can't own, a white guy cannot own land on the res, but what you can do is do a 100-year lease. And that's what they did. So they did a 100-year lease, and there's a Tesla dealership on the res. And especially here, like in Maricopa County in Arizona, white people will push the boundary all the way up to the res. And then, and then they work out some sort of quote unquote special deal like they did with Fife Symington and the slot machines. And then also the freeway, the 101 was pretty famous. A lot of people got rich off that one too. A lot of natives got rich off that one for selling their land. So, but again, the rules are in place, and it's important for you to do your own research to figure out how to get around them or how to avoid them. And that's all I do with Robot. I just look at what other people do, and I go, okay, I can do this. That's what I wanted to show you. It was the PPI one. I just look at what other people do. When I looked at Tilo's stuff, I looked at how he made stuff, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wouldn't have chose that, but that's what he chose. And there's reasons why he chose that. Sometimes it's because he already, has that, he already bought 1,000 of those spiders or whatever, and that's why he's using that spider. So, right there. 1, 2. So that's the, you hit the little button, boop, and then it, or maybe it's these, I forget which one it is. So that's it. All they did was put resistors in the PPI amps and the ADS, where it has a little minus 12 dB, and then it can take, you just cut the end of the RCA off, and then you put speaker leads to it. That's it. Real simple. And that's what's great about good design, is it's very elegant. You're almost like, oh man, I wish I would have thought of that. So, and that's another reason why I really like Elon's approach to engineering, and that's why he's been able to be successful in both Tesla and SpaceX. Typically, those fields are filled with engineers, and engineers are so ego driven, and they never want to be wrong, and it causes lots of problems. I saw this when I was a EM tech, electromechanical technician, at SpeedFam. SpeedFam was a wafer polisher company here in Phoenix that supported Intel, because we have a big Intel presence here. And they would make these wafer polisher machines that were like $1 million to polish wafers for semiconductor industry, all semiconductors, not just Intel. And what was it? When I was going over the blueprints, a lot of times they would have there was 2 cabinets on the side of the tool, and they would have a ground that, instead of making the ground bus bar larger, it would go all the way through the tool up to this one, then jumper over, and then go all the way back. And they did that because nobody wanted to be wrong. Nobody wanted to make a mistake. And so that's one of that's probably the sore spot of the Achilles heel for a lot of engineers, is they over-engineer stuff. And you see that in like BMW and Mercedes and a lot of those cars. They over-engineer stuff on purpose to make it very difficult for you to follow as a layman, and very difficult to reproduce, or at least follow. So me personally, I've done hacks into a Jaguar where I opened up the factory amp that only had optical inputs. Excuse me. And all they did was go to chip amps. So, and they didn't even black out the chips. So you look at the chip, it's L whatever, something like that, LP something something, and then, oh, okay, and then you find the paper online, and it's very, open about the product, and then it tells you what pins what. And all I did was cut the pin and then solder into it, and presto, I was able to bypass that. And then I added a Bluetooth module to his amplifier. So, and I didn't compromise some of the bullshit that Jaguar had built into the head unit. It was used like a fancy little shuttle jog, like a copy of Apple, and it was also used for factory, what is it called, HVAC, for the air conditioner controls and some other stuff. But anyways, that was a hack that I was really proud of, and it took a little bit, and I only charged the guy like $100, but he demanded that. I'm like, dude, just trash this whole fucking system. You don't need it. Like, you can just go Bluetooth to another amp, and he didn't want to pay for that amp. That's actually that same guy that, what's his name, Christian, that he brought in the ZV6s for me to recon, and I showed them off to you. You guys really responded to that one. I don't know why, but like, whatever. It's just a subwoofer. It's not fucking magic. And then he proceeded to go blow them. And then, so I think they only lasted him a week. So, and he was running them half home on his fucking Rockford amp because he loves Rockford amps. So, but I got a client here. I'm going to go, and I'll follow up with a teardown of the cache and some other stuff. Love you. Bye.